Welcome to the Longest Turn Board Gaming Podcast. This is episode 10, Top 5 Cooperative Games. My name is Tyler.
Hello, this is Kevin.
And I'm Ben. I'm back.
Yeah, Tyson
Ben's back.
is still out of town, so Ben's filling in for Tyson again.
Welcome back, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
Glad to be here.
We're sad that Tyson couldn't be here with us,
But real excited that Ben's here.
especially because this is our 10th episode.
Yeah.
Episode 10. We have an episode 0 that was to introduce us, but episode 10, we're to double digits. We're for real now.
Who knew?
Congratulations.
I mean, who knew we'd get to 10?
I thought it would take us a full year to get to 10.
I had no idea what to expect.
We're about at the 5.5 month mark, right?
Yeah.
Right? So we're making good progress. We're picking up speed a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll be here for a while, I think.
Yeah, we're going to be here for a while. Take it to the bank.
more than one season.
More than one season.
Wait a minute, we're doing seasons?
You can break them up into seasons.
Yeah, that's how other podcasts I listen to do. They'll be like, season 2 starts.
And up to this point, I've been like, let's, I don't know.
I don't know either. We're still in season 1.
They take their summer off, and then season 2 starts in the fall.
Oh, we're not taking any time
Yeah,
off.
forget that.
Jeez.
So as I said, this is episode 10. We're going to talk about what we've been playing lately, and then we're going to jump into our top 5 lists of our favorite co-op games. This is a list that was at one point vetoed by Tyson, I think.
I think so. So it's a good one to do while he's out.
While he's away.
Yeah.
And then he'll be back with us the next episode.
And it's great. Ben happens to be a lover of co-ops, right, Ben?
I do. Yep.
Yeah.
I do.
So perfect addition to this episode for sure.
We'll discuss what we've been playing lately. We'll get into our top 5 cooperative games, and then we'll discuss some of the things that we're excited about. What have you guys been playing lately?
So this game, we've actually referenced this game a few times on the podcast already. I think it's been underrepresented for sure. And I actually didn't tell you guys we were going to talk about this one, but I thought I'd just throw it in there.
Oh,
No surprises.
This game is
I'm sorry
called...
if it's not in the show notes, or the show outline.
Oh, no.
There's a spreadsheet for each episode.
I know, but I'm going a little off script here.
Okay.
I hope that's okay.
We'll see how it plays out.
Okay, this game, I had a chance to play it twice yesterday. It is called Monster Crunch.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Boo.
You did not really play it.
I did. I played it twice yesterday. Modern classic.
Oh my
Am I
gosh.
right? Am I
Get
right?
out of here.
Did Blueberry win?
No. Who won? It was, I can't even remember who won.
Count Chocula.
Not Count Chocula. He's not my favorite to play. But you got Boo Berry, you got Count Chocula, Fruit Brute. Who else you got in there?
Other characters you don't care about.
Other characters. You got 5 of the monster, serial characters, right? So the way that the game plays.
Oh my gosh. We're really doing this?
Yeah, we're talking
Okay.
about Monster
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. So the way that the game. I'm so excited to talk about this game.
He's like, I'm
I
not
told
sure
Matt
what
yesterday.
game.
I'm like, I'm going to talk about Monster Crunch.
I mean, it's not April Fool's.
Are you guys fine if we talk about Monster
Yeah,
Crunch?
keep going.
Okay.
This is hilarious.
All right. So the way.
I want to see if you can do it with a straight face.
Okay. So the way that the game plays is you're one of the 5 serial monster characters, right? You have 36 cards in your deck, and there are numbers from 1 to 12. Okay. You shuffle up your deck, you draw 12 cards, and then somebody starts. So each player has one of the monster serial characters. They have special abilities. You should like this, Tyler. There are variable player powers. Right?
Yes, there are.
That's one of my favorite things.
It is. And they're unique. It's pretty cool, right? So you have a hand of 12 cards. Somebody starts and they play a card, okay? It can be any card in their hand. The next player goes and they have a choice. They can play the same number or a higher number. It goes around the table until everybody passes. If you pass, you get a milk token, okay? The milk tokens They're pretty cool. Another favorite.
They're nice quality.
They are. I mean, the production quality of this game is pretty good.
Oh,
right?
it's completely overproduced. For what it is.
It may be, actually. I may concede to that point. So you have a choice on your turn. If you have a milk token and you have cards in your hand that are the same number or are in a sequential order. So if you have 2 5s, you can play 2 5s and a milk token, or a 4 and a 5, for example, and a milk token, and add up the value of those cards. That becomes the new number. So you play 2 5s and the new number is 10. Then the next person has to play a 10 or higher, that type of thing. You can combine multiple cards if you have multiple milk tokens. So if you have 2 milk tokens, you can combine 3 cards. So you can get up to 30 or 40 in this pile if you have the milk tokens.
That's literally like 80% of the choices available to you in this game.
Did you not hear that there are variable player powers? I mean, you have that
extra
choice.
Milk token, or what are they? They're pretty weak.
Oh no! You can reverse the order instead of going up, you go down. You have
Throw you for a loop.
Yeah.
A Fruit Loop.
Whoa! Hey-o. So you can get a free milk token if you don't have any milk tokens. Game changer.
Wow.
Am I right? Okay. Those types of things, right? Like Count Chocula, you have a score pile, right? I didn't tell you how you win the game. You play 3 rounds. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
3 rounds. And at the end of every round, somebody's going to go out, right? They put all of the cards that they have in their nice little cereal bowl that they've been playing in. They go in their score pile. Everybody else that has cards in their hand, they discard their cards, and you get minus points at the end of the game for cards that you've discarded. Okay. You do this 3 times, and whoever has the most cards, you just count the cards in their score pile, wins. Okay. Exciting finish every time. Am I right?
Not. No, it's terrible. It's like the final scores are always like 34, 33, 32.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you there. But it was pretty cool. So my wife, Alicia, she played the perfect game. She won all 3 rounds, scored a 36. Never happened. I played this game a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I love this game so much that it has been banished to my closet shelves where it's no longer on display.
I have a different opinion. I think it's fun for what it is. It's a simple game. There's not a whole lot of strategy to it. The nostalgia plays in a little bit. It's got good production quality.
I was going to ask, you're a few years older than me. Just a few, not a couple. I mean, just a couple.
Just a couple.
Right?
I'm turning 45
Were those
this year.
cereals a little bit more prominent at your age than they were at mine? Because
I mean, I didn't eat a whole lot of them.
We had Lucky Charms.
We didn't get a lot of sugar.
Captain Crunch,
like
but yeah.
I don't know. It's still a little nostalgic. They were around back when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, sure. There are.
I'm not Tyson, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Carcassonne is as old as Tyson is.
Wish you were here to defend yourself, Tyson. But you're not, so
Yeah, you would just laugh and take it on the cheek and then
call
dish
us
it
old.
back out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
I have no illusions that this game is a deep strategic game, that there's a lot to explore in it. It's just a fun game to get out and just have brainless, mindless entertainment. For me, anyway, it is.
It's definitely it's close to War, the card game.
We've talked about this. Yeah. Llama has less decisions than Monster Crunch.
No way.
How many decisions are in? Let's count them. Let's count them. Llama,
you can choose
to
put your hand down.
Oh my gosh.
You can choose which card to play.
2 decisions.
Yeah,
there are no
Monster Crunch has like 1.5 decisions to it.
You have
and no matter what you
variable
do,
powers.
This is my complaint with Raiders of the North. You play that game, and there's the action selection I like, but regardless of what you do for an hour and a half, the scores all end up within 3 points of each other at the end of the game. And Monster Crunch is the exact same. It's a shorter game, but feels longer.
I looked at stats yesterday of how much I've won. I win about 50% of the time in that game.
Do you?
So there is strategy to it.
Or there's completely chance that just is accurate 50% of the time.
But it's not, I don't think it is. I think you can play that game better than somebody else. It's not a completely luck-driven game. You have choices to make. And if you make those choices better than somebody else, you're going to win.
Yeah.
If you use your special abilities at the right time, like I had Count Chocula that lets you take a card from your score pile.
I can't even take you seriously.
I'm having a serious discussion about Count Chocula. So I had Count Chocula. No,
I can't believe we just spent 10 minutes talking about Monster Crush.
I have more.
Oh my gosh.
So Count
Is there an
Chocula-
expansion?
No, there's not. I wish there was. That'd be
Oh my
amazing.
gosh.
So you take a card from your scoring pile, which is how you win, and you get a milk token. Okay. I did that. I got a milk token. I was able to go out with my last 2 cards. Even though I sacrificed a point, the timing of when I did that helped me to win the game. So I think there are decisions to make. Not great decisions, it's not a deep game, like I said, but I think there are decisions.
So I was curious to see what the number of subscribers was for this game on BGG because, if it's a super popular game, they'll have thousands of subscribers, right?
Oh, it's not a popular game. Yeah.
No. I was just curious.
Uh-huh.
There are 31 people who are fans and 83 people who have subscribed, which coincidentally, there's probably 83 people that worked on this game. Maybe not even that many because there's probably like
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lightweight filler family game that you can sit down and play with your kids. The production quality is very nice. It's awesome that the box looks like a box of cereal.
That's amazing.
That's super cool.
It is.
Guess what? I have a Blockbuster game that looks like a Blockbuster videotape, and
Probably
the game's terrible.
Probably terrible.
Yeah,
I heard about this. This game was I think it was at Origins, or maybe it was Gen Con. I saw Jamie at the Secret Cabal post about it.
Oh no.
And he loved it.
Oh no.
He loved it.
Oh,
so I'm like,
I'm gonna have to second guess all my future.
I kind of, I listen to what Secret Cabal talks about, so I'm like, I'll give it a shot.
I'm second guessing one of the games I'm getting ready to back based on Jamie's recommendation.
Oh, well, I think we've talked enough about Monster Crunch, but that's one of the games I've been playing lately.
I rated it a 4 out of 10 on BGG, which not so good, but could play again.
I'm surprised it's that high.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay.
Yep. So that was Monster Crunch.
That was Monster Crunch. What have you guys been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Root lately. I don't think you've played Root, Kevin, have you?
No, I've never played. I have the app, but I've never played.
What about you?
I've played on the table. We have all the content, all the games, all the expansions. We backed the latest one. I think that's showing up here soon.
Right.
I have the app as well, and I've played it a few times. So I probably played 8 or 9 times, but just 2-player or 2-player with mechanical or whatever.
AI.
Yeah, with the AI.
Oh, with the mechanical, the physical board game with the mechanical opponents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which has been a
Clockwork.
lot of fun. Clockwork expansion. Yep. Adding those into a 2-player game is actually pretty fun.
Yeah. So it's still one of my top favorite games. It's definitely my top 5. And so I recently got it back to the table so I could prepare for the expansion to arrive here shortly, hopefully.
Yep.
That I backed. I don't even know how to explain how the game plays because the whole concept of it is it's really 4 different games all at the same time with everybody having different characters that have different objectives, different things that they do on their turn, different rules that they're playing with. But I really enjoy the game because of that aspect of it. I love the art in this game.
It is pretty nice.
It's done by
cool.
Kyle Farron, and
Yeah.
it's not my typical style that I like, but I just was really drawn to it.
It's very unique.
It is.
Right? Yeah.
And I love forest theme in general, randomly. And it's a forest theme with all the different critters that are in the forest, and they're all trying to vie for their own little habitat, essentially. So there's the Marquita cat, and there are these cats that are basically everywhere in the forest, and they're just trying to build buildings and keep surviving in the forest. There are these birds called the Eyrie Dynasty, and they're trying to be the best of the whole forest and build their roosts and expand outward. But if you don't fulfill their requirements each round, they have certain objectives that they have to do, and if you can't complete those, you go into collapse and you have to lose.
And you keep adding to it, so it becomes more and more difficult each turn.
Yep. So eventually you just can't complete. It's called the decree. Eventually you can't complete your decree, and then you have to go into decline or collapse. I can't remember what they call it.
Yeah, they come across as really arrogant to me.
They do. They're definitely. They think they're the best. They don't have to follow all the rules, so they don't have rules as far as to move in the game. You have to either have rule over the area you're moving from or the area you're moving to, but they don't care. They can just fly wherever they want. They can just come right on in. Yeah. And they roost up in there, and they get their points by building their roosts. Then there's the Woodland Alliance, and it's all the little creatures. It's the mice and the foxes and the bunnies all together, and they aren't on the board to start, which is interesting. They have to build themselves up from the grassroots and put out sympathy tokens in different areas. And as their sympathy tokens are there, that's them basically standing on a soapbox and rallying to the other people around, trying to get them to join their cause. And then the sympathy token can eventually turn into people that are now their supporters and followers. And then they can use those to build fortresses, and then they kind of rise up from the ground and become stronger and stronger. If you don't keep them in check, you're going to lose to them. And then the last faction is a little vagabond character, and he just roams around just all by himself. And he picks up stuff that everybody else is leaving behind. He's basically like a garbage trash panda raccoon. And he other characters might be crafting things like a hatchet or a sword or a kettle, and he just goes around and buys that stuff off of people and uses it to make himself stronger and stronger. And he can ally with people if he wants. He can fight them if he wants. He just kind of roams around by himself doing what he wants to do. Those are the basic 4 factions that are in the game. It's a tricky game to sort of just throw someone into. It's definitely not for a beginner board game player. It's definitely a game for someone who's got a lot of board gaming experience. And it takes a minute to really know how to play the game. You need to know what the other factions are doing and why. In your first playthrough, you're just not going to know all that. It's 4 separate games happening at the same time.
Yep.
But I really like it.
Yeah, that's probably the reason why I haven't invested the time to learn it, because it seems like kind of a bear to get your arms around and to learn.
That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
But what they do well with the production of it is each person's faction board, you just walk through the steps of what you do on your turn.
Yeah.
A is your bird song. During your bird song, you can 1, craft a card, 2, move 2 spaces if desired. And then you go to your daylight. During your daylight, you can A, B, C. Here's what you do. And then you move to your evening. You do A, B, and then you're done. So it walks you through your turn.
Do a really good job laying out what each faction's turn structure is. And, you know, you learn some of the base rules of the game. And then, like you said, Ben, you kind of just focus on your faction
that first playthrough,
game or two, and then you could start trying different factions, and then I think if we ever got to the point where we had a group that
knows all the factions,
it would be awesome.
Yeah, especially when you start adding in the expansions. The River Folk has 2: the lizard people and the river otters. And then when you add in the underground expansion, you've got the moles, and then you've got the Corvid conspiracy, not COVID conspiracy.
Yes.
And they all have different gameplay styles, different mechanics, and
it seems
I just
like,
have fun exploring it.
It seems like, well, completely different games, I'm sure, but Merchant's Cove, right? Doesn't that Merchant's Cove has completely different.
You're all
Totally.
playing
You're
your
all
own.
doing your own little thing. One of them's like what's that marble game?
Yeah. Potion Explosion.
Potion Explosion. It's like you're playing your own little Potion Explosion game, or everybody's doing something
I was
different.
a blacksmith, I think, and I was crafting items.
You're rolling dice to craft items.
Yeah.
So it's similar in the concept of you all have a totally different game that you're playing, but that game doesn't have a lot of interaction between each other.
Absolutely.
Merchant's Cove.
Okay. Yeah.
But in Root, you absolutely do.
You're fighting over clearings.
Yeah, you're trying to dominate the other factions, and take over.
It sounds like, like you said, Tyler, if you get a consistent group that's playing it all the time, it could just be awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
And lately I've been exploring it with the app, which both of you said you have the app. So in theory, we could play it. As with most app versions of a game, if you don't know the game well, that app is going to be tricky because it automates everything for you.
Yeah.
And it goes so fast.
I thought the tutorial was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
Does it allow you to play any of the expansion factions? I haven't looked at it recently.
Yes, you can play with the Riverfolk and the Lizards. I'm not sure if they have the other expansions in there yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it would be really fun to play. Maybe before our next cabin trip,
Yeah.
we try and ramp up on it.
Technically, it can actually go to 6 players if you use...
It could. I would not want to play that
It would
at
take
all.
It would take 5 hours.
Yeah, it would be like half the day, right?
For sure.
I think that would be a fun game to teach and get everybody at least comfortable with a faction or two and then play that on the cabin weekend. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be cool.
I just love it because it has so much the decision making in it to me is quite fun to sort of figure out how I can best manipulate this. I don't even know how to explain it very well, but it feels fun. The decisions feel fun to me.
Do you have a favorite faction that you like to play with?
I do. My favorite is the mole people.
I haven't played with that one. I
can't
played
remember their
against
official
them.
name,
Yeah.
but they're really fun because they come from off the board and they come up through these little holes onto the board, and then as you get more of them out, you can crown kings and squires in their little kingdom, and that gives you more and more abilities. And I just think it's cool that everyone scores points in a completely different way.
Yeah.
The birds get their points by putting out roosts. Anyone has.
Does it seem, is it balanced, like in your experience, or is there factions that are harder to play?
Yes, there are factions that are harder to play for sure. And the balance, they have a guide at the back. And if you're going to play with 3 players, they'll give you a list of what combinations will work. And they give a point value to each of the different factions, and they'll say you have to meet at this player count, you need to meet at least a 13, let's say. So you can mix and match and make your own combinations so long as you get to the number that they recommend for it to be a balanced game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it does balance fairly well.
I did look at Board Game Geek to see the number of subscribers to this one. Just to
more
compare,
than 83?
Just to compare to Monster Crunch, I mean, 2,546, barely, just barely, slightly higher than Monster Crunch. I mean,
it's been out longer. I think
it's been out longer.
Yeah,
basically equal in my mind.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, rounded up.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the birds, the Airy or whatever.
The Airy Dynasty.
The Airy Dynasty. I love, you keep adding all these cards to your decree, and it gets really hard.
It's fun
to
though.
Not break the decree, but you get to the point where you have like 8 or 9 of them, and it's a feat to try and complete all of them. I love playing them. I've played a couple of the other ones. I don't know. It's an awesome game.
Good. Yeah.
We need to play it.
I would love
We
to.
need to learn it.
Yep, for sure.
It'd be fun to play it one night on the table, and then
Definitely.
I would appreciate
get it in the app.
I would appreciate a game on the table physically.
Yeah.
And then quickly followed up by some app plays.
Yeah,
Just to get it embedded in my brain type.
And if we carried that momentum into cabin weekend in the fall or whenever we go the next one, like that would be awesome.
They did a great job with the app as far as the animation of it and everything. They really brought that world to life, I thought.
Yeah, they did. Then the audio and the sound effects.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so a game that I've been playing lately is another AEG game, and it's another John D. Clare game. I've been talking about AEG games in the last few episodes, I think. I talked about Dead Reckoning in the last episode. Prior to that, Meeples and Monsters. Prior to that, 10. I'm on a John D. Clare kick, I guess. This one came out in 2018. It's a space-themed dice rolling and card drafting game where each player has a row of starter ships in front of them, numbered 1 through 12. This is Space Base. Have you played this, Ben?
No.
I know Kevin's played it on BGA.
I have played it, air quotes.
Air quotes, yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So in this game, you start out, like I said, with ships numbered 1 through 12. And anytime On your turn, you roll the dice, 2 dice, and you can either choose to collect the rewards for the individual dice or their sum. So if I roll a 3 and a 2, I can collect my rewards for my ships at the 2 and 3 slots, or I can collect the 5 slot reward. And the rewards are money, their income, so that your base money doesn't go below a certain point as you grow that over time. You can also have victory points. There are other more complicated rewards, but basically you're trying to build up your fleet of ships to get bigger rewards when numbers get rolled. And it's interesting because when you buy, so on your turn, you roll 2 dice, you collect the rewards. If you have money, you can buy a card from 3 rows of cards that are available, or you can buy victory point cards that lock up a slot. And generally, you don't buy those until later on in the game, but you get those victory points when you buy them. You buy a card and you cover up. So if I buy a 7 card or a 7 ship, I'll put it in the 7 slot. The one that is the starter card or the previous one that I bought, I'll flip upside down. And now when someone else rolls a 7, I'll get the reward for that card that I flipped, along with any other cards that have been flipped and covered up. So it's a really fun game. You are collecting rewards on your turn. You're collecting rewards on other people's turns. You're trying to build up a fleet of ships that will get you to 40 points the fastest. Whoever has the most points after the last round is triggered by someone getting to 40 points wins the game. Lots of interesting things going on. You know, you can buy higher card values like a 12 or an 11 that have some higher rewards that aren't very expensive. But again, how often do you roll a 12 with 2 dice, right? So you kind of want to focus on the higher probability cards to get those rewards faster, to allow you to buy better ships faster, to get you to 40 points. I really enjoy this game. It's been fun to get it back out. I'm glad it's on BGA now. There are a couple expansions for it. I think one of them adds an extra player and balances some things and other new cards. Another one is a campaign expansion, which I have, or a saga expansion where you kind of play through it. I haven't played that yet. It's on my shelf of shame. I know they're coming out with another one of those soon. So funny story. Okay, so I played this the other night with Dan and a couple other guys, and we're playing it, and we played one game, and I didn't do great, didn't win. We decided to play it again. Okay, so this game, I don't know what it was. We're rolling. I'm adding cards. It's like halfway through a normal game, I have 0 points. Okay. I'm just not getting the rolls where I have ships that would give me points, right? And I keep coming up short in money. Each turn it's my turn to buying like level 2 and level 3 cards. So I'm stuck with these level 1 cards that aren't as good. They're cheaper. I can't afford the level 2. That happened multiple times where I couldn't afford the higher row cards. Anyway, it's like halfway point through the game. I mean, Dan's killing it, right? He loaded up and his numbers are constantly getting rolled and rolled and rolled. So finally I buy a 12 slot card. If a 12 gets rolled 3 times, you win. You just flat out win, right? So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go for that. Well, another card came up that was like, you can switch your number 12 ship with your number 1 ship. And had I been able to buy that card, I totally would have won this game. Someone else bought it before it got back to me, right? And so the game went on. I got another one that would let me switch it, I think, with the slot 9. I didn't get any 9, so I never made progress on this you win card. It turns out I ended the game with 0 points, which was terrible. Like,
wow.
I mean, you have to try hard. I mean, I don't know. It was impossible. I still can't believe it, right? That I ended up with 0 points, because you can buy like cards that give you, in the 5 slot, that'll give you 1 point if it's rolled, or 2 points, I never had one of those rolled the whole game. It just worked out, and I made a long shot, and it would have been this epic moment. And I had in my mind, if I could roll the 12 3 times, or if I could get it swapped to the 1 spot and roll that, ones will come up like crazy. Didn't happen.
It was still an epic moment. You scored 0.
I know, right? But it's a lot of fun. I love this game. I'm I've been playing some BGA tournaments. It's been a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah, like I said, I got to give this another shot. I like games where you're engaged on other people's turns.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
It sounds like that's this game.
Yeah.
Right? So
'Cause
you're constantly, focused on what's going on, which is cool.
Yeah, and like I said, if I bought 4 or 5 number 6 cards or ships, all 4 of those would be flipped upside down, except for the most recent one I bought. And anytime that number got rolled on other people's turns, I'd be collecting those 4 or 5 rewards, which is super cool. And there's more complicated rewards that I won't get into, but yeah, it's a really fun game. Really enjoy it. It's been good to get it back to the table and to play it on BGA. So
cool.
Sounds fun.
and score 0 points. Even that play was still fun.
It's a good game.
Kind of
That's
hilarious.
a good attitude.
It's a good game when you score 0 and you're supposed to score points and you still have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What have you been playing, Kevin, other than Monster Crunch? I can't believe, it was awesome. But
No, we had to bring it up.
Yeah.
It's been referenced in the podcast a few times. It needed its time.
that's true.
It did. Another game I've been playing, and this has been on BGA, is a game called Hive. Have either of you guys played Hive?
I
I have not played it.
So it's
I have the physical one.
Yep, and I do as well. I've had it for a while. It's an older game. It came out in 2000. This one was designed by John Yianni, and he also did the art for it. Like I said, it's very chess-like. So the goal of the game, you have these hexagonal tiles, and each tile has a different bug on it. So each player has the same amount of these tiles. There's a queen bee, that you are trying to surround the other player's bee. And if you do that, you win the game immediately. So to start the game, you'll take one of your tiles and you'll place it in your play area. And the other person will do the same. We'll place a tile in the play area. And then each turn you'll place another tile. So the first 3 tiles that you place has to be your bee. And then you can play anything. The cool thing about the game is that each bug has a different ability that they do. They move differently. So like the grasshoppers will jump straight over to the next available spot. They'll jump over the hive. The ant will move around the hive any number of spots, and you can move the ant. The spider will move exactly 3 spots around the hive. And there's other bugs that will do different things. So you're placing these bugs out. There's rules of where you can initially place them. You can only put them next to your color. So you're going to put it next to your color in a strategic spot so that you can move it from that spot to, block the other person or move it close to their queen. So it's very abstract. It's very strategic, very stress-like, but it's very chess-like, but it's a lot of fun. And I enjoy it quite a bit. You played it, Ben. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, the chess-like is a fantastic description of it. That's exactly what it is. It's move and counter move by the other player. Try to outthink them.
Yep, it's very thinky, for sure.
Yep, definitely. Yep. Trying to plan ahead for if I move this here, then next turn I can get this over here. And yeah, it's quite a fun game for a 2-player game. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great 2-player game. Very thinky, like we've already said, but it's got a lot of strategy to it, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And when you get that final piece to move around the other, to completely surround, you're like, oh yeah, it's pretty
Did
cool.
it.
Got it. Yep. I outsmarted you.
I should pull that out again. I haven't played it in a while.
Yeah.
You've bought or backed quite a few bees related games lately, haven't you?
Bees are my favorite animal.
Hey, there you go.
I love bees.
How many bee games do you think you have at this point?
Well, I have Honey Buzz and its expansion coming out.
Nice.
That might be the only specifically bee one, but I also like to garden, and I have a number of gardening ones too. So,
and there's bees in gardens.
There's bees in gardens.
That's awesome.
So between those, I have sort of the theme locked down.
Nice.
So yeah, that's Hive.
Nice. All right, so that wraps up what we've been playing lately. We're going to now jump into our top 5 list, which is top 5 cooperative games. And I want to dedicate this one to Tyson because he loves cooperative games.
He's always talking about how much he loves them.
especially pandemic.
We can't get him to shut up.
Yes, that's true.
It's just nonstop with him.
Yep. We're going to kick it off with Kevin.
Number 5 for me is a game that's been out for a while. This one came out in 2012. It's called Legendary, a Marvel deck building game. This one was designed by Devin Lowe, and it has a bunch of different artists that are credited, and it's published by Upper Deck Entertainment. And I remember the first time I saw that Upper Deck had published a game, I'm like, this game can't be good. Right? I mean, this is just weird.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't they do, isn't it playing cards? I mean, what
Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
Right. What's going on with this game? But we got it out. My daughter especially, I mean, we all like Marvel movies in my family. My daughter especially is a huge Marvel nerd. I recently played this game with her, and it was so much fun because we had the heroes laid out, and she's like giving me the backstory on all the heroes, and the villain that we're playing with was Kingpin. And she's, she recently watched the Daredevil show on Netflix, and Kingpin's, spoiler alert.
Whoa. It's been out for
a while. He's, if you don't know, he's a main character in that, then you've probably been living under a rock if you're a Marvel fan. But anyway, she's telling me all the backstory and everything, and it was just a lot of fun to play. So this one it's a deck builder. It's a cooperative deck builder. You have a number of heroes that you include in the deck. There's a bunch of heroes in the base game. There's a bunch of different expansions you can get, and you can mix and match all the expansions. There's one villain that you're going to play against, and there's a lot of villains that you can choose from. And then there is a scheme that villain, it's what he's doing in that scenario. The scheme that the villain and scheme combo that we played with was Kingpin, and he had a massive earthquake generator. And he was trying to set off that earthquake and crush as many heroes as he could. It was awesome. It was so cool. And every time you play, you have you can have a different villain. The cool thing is there's different schemes, and the schemes have different things that they do, and it completely changes up the game and how it plays, which is a lot of fun. So you have this villain deck. You're flipping over cards. The cards are different, minions or whatever of the villain. They start in the sewers, and they're trying to escape up into the city. If they escape, then bad things happen. But you're attacking them. You're attacking the end goal is you're trying to attack the villain enough where you defeat him. The cards combo well with each other. So you're trying to get combos that you play during the game. And those, when you can pull off a cool combo and a cool turn, it feels awesome, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a great game. One thing I would say about it, do not ever play with 5. Because it
will drag.
It drags, and it's not fun at a higher player count. So in my experience, play it at a lower player count, and it's a lot better. But it's just one that we've had a ton of fun with, and it's a great co-op game.
That's cool. I haven't played that one. I actually haven't played any of the Legendary games. Mark did give me Big Trouble in Little China Legendary.
Awesome.
Years ago, still on my shelf of shame. I need to get that played. Because Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express that's nostalgic for me.
Awesome.
So I love me some Jack Burton, but I need to get that played. But
it's a good one. We have a lot of fun. I think, if you're a Marvel fan, then you're probably going to get more enjoyment out of it than if you're not. But the gameplay itself, I think it holds its own, regardless of the theme. And there's a lot of different ones, like you mentioned. I think one of the more popular ones is Alien Encounters or something. There's one. And I think that's pretty highly rated. People like that one a lot. So I guess if you don't like the Marvel theme, you got a bunch of other ones to choose from.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Nice.
So that's my number 5, Legendary, a Marvel deck building game.
My number 5 is my first introduction into a Mind Clash game.
Oh, yeah.
It is
Nice.
Cerebria. Came out in 2018, and I love this game. It is basically the board game version of the movie Inside Out by Disney Pixar.
Cool.
Which is, I've always loved emotions. I have a lot of them. And it's that's a movie about what if emotions had emotions, which I think is funny. But in Cerebria refers to the brain of a hypothetical person, and the game can either be one player a 2-player game, 1 versus 1, or you can do 2 versus 2 at a 4-player count, or you can do 2 versus 2 versus 2 at a 6-player count. If you're doing the 4-player count that I'll talk about, one team is the emotions anxiety, malice, hatred, things like that. The other team is the emotions love. What are the other ones? Love, joy, I think is one of them. Happiness. And the two teams are trying to take over Cerebria, the brain, to sway it in their favor for their emotion type. So it's a battle over who's going to take control of this brain. So the gameplay itself is area control for the majority of it. There's a lot of moving parts to it, as you'd expect with a Mind Clash game. When one little thing happens, this triggers another thing, which triggers that thing. And you sort of have to, it's very thinky. You have to think ahead on, well, I'm going to need these crystals for this, so I have to move this over here first. And then my next move can be this other action that I can do. But it's, as you would expect out of a game that I like, it's beautiful. I have the Kickstarter version with the painted minis. And
I don't have the painted ones.
Yeah, they're really pretty. They're really pretty. So it's just gorgeous and fun. That's actually how I discovered it, was I saw it on a shelf at one point, and it was beautiful. And I was like, great, I'll buy it. I had no idea what it was about at all. And I love it. I've never played the 6-player version, the 2 versus 2 versus 2. When you do that, the last team becomes the team of balance, and they're trying to get equal parts of the more negative emotions and the more positive emotions. They're trying to get the middle ground of it.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Interesting.
I've never played it with that, but
The theme in this is just awesome.
That's super cool.
and
Yeah,
it's
it's
tied
cool.
all the way through. They do a great job with the cards that you have. The theme just is very well.
I love Mind Clash games and how they have these unique themes. Like we talked about Anachrony in a previous episode, and that's a unique theme. It's just a whole world that's built that's unique, you know.
fully developed.
And this one sounds similar to that.
Yeah, they take them to the next level.
For sure.
It's such a beautiful game, and the art is incredible, and it's unique, but it's just the colors, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never actually played cooperatively. I've always just played 1v1, so that's the only experience I have with this game, but I've enjoyed all the plays that I've had with it, and it's been a fun experience, so I really like this one.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know if I can call it fully cooperative or what I would call that, but it's.
I mean, Kevin always cheats on our top 5 lists. So.
Well, good. I fit right in.
I feel like that's
A
true.
deck of cards.
That's right.
Whatever, Tyler.
Any roll and write game.
Hey, it's our podcast. We can make up the rules. Come on.
we
Come on.
fly by the seat of our pants.
That's
Excellent.
right. That's right.
Or squeaky chairs.
Well then I officially log it. Cerebria, my number 5.
Nice. All right, so my number 5. Look, this might be the lowest ranked on BGG game to ever make one of our top 5 lists.
Oh boy.
This game comes in at 18,345th.
I have a question. Where does Monster Crush come in?
Well, we'll get to
We're
that.
going to have to look that up.
We'll look at that.
We'll have to look that up.
So this game, it doesn't really do anything special, but it was instrumental in teaching my son to play and enjoy and love board games at a very young age. This game is Justice League Access of Villains strategy game.
Huh?
Yep. It's a tower defense game.
Oh.
You're defending a satellite. New villains are coming in on 8 different sectors. You were playing as Batman, as Superman, as Green Lantern, or Wonder Woman, I believe. You have asymmetric powers, which Logan loves. And this is his first asymmetric game that he ever played. It came out in 2013. He was about 5 years old when we got this. We used to play this for hours. And like I said, it doesn't do anything special. You are rolling dice, trying to defeat the villains and super villains that come in and survive their attacks. It's a half hour to an hour play. We used to play this time after time after time until it was bedtime. Logan loved it. He got into it. you know, it was fun to see him develop. And, you know, initially we were helping him with his turns, and then pretty soon he was just taking all of his turns. And this game, along with Break the Ice, which Kevin likes.
I've got two copies of that.
Two copies. I saw that.
Yep.
Break the Ice and Kinder Bunnies, which is a gentler version of Killer Bunnies.
Oh, that game.
Or Kinder, could be either one. Those three games really fueled his love of games and becoming a gamer. And now, you know, he turns 14, and he's my in-house gamer buddy that can play the deepest, heaviest strategy game
And
with the best of us, right?
He is the rules lawyer.
He is the rules lawyer.
Absolutely.
He is a rules lawyering fool.
He will audit you.
He will audit you.
And he will be right.
He will.
Yeah, it is. I do consider it a minor victory if I can prove him wrong on a rules lawyer moment, right? Anyway, like I said, this game doesn't do anything special. You're rolling dice, trying to defeat villains. It's a fun cooperative game. I played Castle Panic years after playing this game. I don't like Castle Panic. I like this game more. We've still played it a couple times recently. I look forward to teaching it to my other son as he gets older. This game, you know, it helped foster my son's love for board games, and we had a lot of great family moments. That's my number 5, coming in at 18,345th with, hold on, wait for it, 25 subscribers and 15 fans on BGG. That is Justice League Access a Villain strategy game.
Awesome. I'm looking for the
Whatever, Kevin.
let's see, where does it show the rank? Okay. So just for the record, Monster Crunch comes in at 4,380. So
it's up there, 14,000. It's got 14,000 points on it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean, there you go.
Play a milk. Oh, you get to add 2 cereals together. So exciting.
Oh man.
Sorry. All right, that was my number 5. Moving on.
All right, my number 4 is a game called Chronicles of Crime. So Chronicles of Crime came out in 2018. It is designed by David, I'm going to butcher this last name, but it's David Kikirl. I don't know.
Sounds right.
So
Yep.
sounds close. A bunch of different artists are mentioned, and it's published by Lucky Duck Games. So Chronicles of Crime, it is a game where you are cooperatively trying to solve a crime. The cool thing about the game is that it is app driven. So there's a bunch of different cards, and there are QR codes on all of the cards. So there are locations, there's item cards, there's people that you will encounter. And if you want to interact with that person or item or location, you scan that QR code and it will tell you something about that person, right? So you're interviewing people, you're asking them about different items, you're trying to figure out what happened, and you're trying to solve this crime. My wife is a big crime drama fan. She's watches Law and Order nonstop. It's one of those. It's one of those shows that is always on in the background.
My wife grew up watching those shows, and yeah, she loves them, and the true crime and podcasts and
absolutely. So she this one's right up her alley. She was kind of drawn into it immediately, and we just love it. We play it with my 14-year-old. Another really cool thing about the game is that you can encounter locations, and you search those locations for clues. The way it works is you can get these glasses that are sold separately. I know you don't play it like this, Tyler, but I think it's kind of cool. You put them on your phone, you look through these glasses, and it makes like a 3D representation of the room. And you physically look around to find things. So, you know, if my daughter's doing it, she's in the corner. looking at this phone through these glasses, flipping around, looking up at the walls, and she's shouting out what she sees. Okay. And then everybody else has these item cards that they're looking through and say, oh, okay, we found a bottle. So, oh, there's a bottle. Or we found there's technology, a laptop. So we're going to pull that out. And we have all these clues. And it's just a fun thing to do. It's whether you're searching or whether somebody else is searching, it's just kind of cool. And then when you get a clue and you scan it and it's actually something that's relevant to the case, then you found something. You're like, oh, that's awesome. So you go through all of this, and then at the end, you answer some questions to see if you got it right. Sometimes we are pretty close. Other times we are not close at all. but it's always a fun experience getting to that point. It's a cool game.
So you backed this, right?
I did not. Actually.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't back the Kickstarter.
So I backed the Kickstarter, and I have all of them now.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, I don't play with the glasses. We sync it to our big screen TV, and then whoever's controlling the phone just looks around, right? But then everybody can see it. So we play it a little differently. I've seen the glasses. I've almost bought them at the local game store. I didn't buy them. Whatever. I think either way, it's fun, right?
Yeah, it seems kind of hokey at first, right? You're like, these weird glasses you're going to hook onto a phone.
Yeah.
It's actually it's executed pretty well. It's kind of cool.
Huh. That's cool. Yeah, it's a great game. Have you played it, Ben?
I haven't. I have all of the content like you do, but it's on my shelf of shame.
There you go. It's a good game. We love it at my house, and that's why it's my number 4, Chronicles of Crime.
My number 4 is a game that just came out, gosh, it can't even be a year ago, and it's called Sleeping Gods. It is a Red Raven game.
Ryan Lockett, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly right. So he does the artwork and everything, which, surprise, is beautiful. And
it is.
One of the reasons I bought the game. But I actually have a number of his games, if not maybe even all of them. And I feel like Sleeping Gods finally got it right. His games Above and Below and Near and Far, he took the best concepts of all of them and pulled them into one game it was just tremendously fun. So the idea is you're an adventurer. Anyone who's playing the game, you're adventurers, and you have a book of maps in front of you, and you can choose to move all along the map. You flip a page and go to a different map if you want, or you can go down and it'll tell you go to page 18. You flip to 18, and that's where you're headed now. And you can explore different cities you come across. You can explore caves that you find. When you go in to explore them, you have a separate book that has a story in it, and it will tell you you've encountered a woman tied to a tree. She's rambling on, and you can't understand what she's saying. Do you A, attack the woman and take her money? B, talk to her and try to figure out what she's saying? It gives you choices, and then you choose your own adventure and you pick what you want to do in that moment. And then a different player is reading this to you, and you're making the selection. And then based on what you decide, you'll get a particular reward from it. You might find a key, and then, I wonder where this key goes. And you'll figure out, let me sail back over where we just were, and that's going to be where I can drop off the key. So between the two of you, you're all adventuring out, you're exploring. It's choose your own adventure. It's basically an open world game that you can do whatever you want. And I played it probably 4 or 5 sessions of 2 or 3 hours each to get through the first campaign of it. And even that is just scratching the surface of what you can do in the game. And you can play it again, and it's completely different. Just make different choices of where you go. And it's just got a lot of depth to it. It's beautiful. It's fun. It's just a lighthearted adventure. That's not, it's not overly difficult. It's just adventure is the best word I can say.
Yeah. I missed out on this one, and I haven't played it, but I was excited to see he's putting out another one. I missed out the first time. I can't miss out the second time.
No, absolutely not.
So that is my number 4, Sleeping Gods.
Nice. So my number 4 is a card game that, if you heard the rules explained, doesn't sound very fun or shouldn't be fun or shouldn't even really be a game.
It's almost more of an activity.
It is, but it's awesome.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
So my number 4 is The Mind. And
I love that game.
it was designed by Wolfgang Warsch and published by Nürnberger Spielkarten Verlag.
Bless you.
Yes. I was so excited. I heard buzz about this game. I was so excited. My copy is actually in German. I ordered it from Amazon DE before it was released in the States. I've done that from time to time with some games, but this was one. So my rules are in German. There's not a lot of rules there. So in The Mind, 2 to 4 players, there's a deck of cards from 1 to 100. And whatever you're playing through a number of rounds, trying to complete all the rounds based on your player count, and then you win the game. You have a few lives to start out with, and each player is dealt the number of cards of the round. So if it's round 2, you'll each get 2 cards. Once you start, there's really not any verbal communication. And the goal of the game is to play cards in ascending order from 1 to 100, whatever you have in your hand. So if I have the 2 or the 3 or the 9, I'm going to play it really fast. And there's no communication. Nobody can see your cards. And then Kevin might have the 13, so he wants to get that in before Ben plays his 20 or whatever, right? So you're trying to get the cards played in order without communicating, waiting enough time before you think it's the right time to play your card in relation to everybody else playing their cards, right? And it starts out pretty easy.
It can, depending on what cards are dealt.
It can. It can be also crazy hard. But so you get to, in a 4-player game, I think you're playing to 8 rounds. In a 2-player game, you're going 12 rounds. When you start having a hand of 5 or 6 cards and you're slapping them down in order, partial seconds after the previous card that was played, sometimes you just hit it right where you play 6 or 7 cards in a row, and then you just kind of look around the table and nobody's got any cards left, and it's just like, yeah, we beat the round and that was amazing. I've played this game dozens of times. I've won it 3 times. The first time, my brother-in-law and his wife were visiting. We stayed up till 3 a.m. We had young kids in the house sleeping. We celebrated like we won the Super Bowl when we finally beat this at 3 a.m. It was an awesome moment. I've won it once with my wife, Shelly, in a 2-player game. Recently, like a month or so ago, we went out with some friends, grabbed some dinner, and then we came back to our house and played some games. And we're like, all right, this game, The Mind, it's really fun, but we're not going to win it. And we won it on our first try with them, which really, normally it takes a couple plays to kind of get a feel for what people think.
How long are you waiting?
Yes.
Until you can play a card. You got to work that out with your group usually.
Yeah. And it's all, it comes with experience depending on the group you're playing with. For whatever reason, we were all on the same page. We won it on the first try, got through 8 rounds. If you play a card, out of turn order, out of order, you lose a life. When you complete rounds, you get some more lives, or you get some, shurikens or throwing stars that allow you to communicate briefly to all get rid of your lowest card, and then you use up that bonus card or ability. So you're trying to survive the number of rounds. Really fun game, more of an activity, way more fun than it sounds like it should be. If you haven't checked out The Mind, check it out. One more thing. Sorry, I know I've been talking really long about The Mind. When you beat the game, it then tells you in German, well, at least my copy, to play the game blindly. So each round you're just slapping down cards face down instead of face up. And then after everybody's played all their cards, you flip them all over and see how many of them are out of order and how many lives you lose and whether or not you finish the round. We got to like round 6 playing them blindly like that with my brother-in-law and his wife after we had beat it. And it was equally as fun and as exciting as playing them face up when you can see what numbers are being played.
Wow.
By that time in the night, we had our timing down that, I mean, we almost beat it, but I mean, 5th or 6th round, but whatever.
That's fun. I've never played it like that. That's a great game. I like it.
If you like the Mind, there's also the Mind Extreme.
I've seen this. I have not bought it, but yeah.
We have it. We played it a couple of times. It's really hard. You're 1 to 50 and 50 to 100. You're playing one in ascending order. You're playing one in descending order, and you get a hand of random cards of both. So that's my number 4, the Mind. Go play it. It's a cheap game.
All right. My number 3 is a game called Aeon's End.
Oh, surprise.
So
I've heard of this one.
now, little plug for episode 9. If you want to hear our thoughts about Aeon's End, go give that one a listen. It's a game that we all love. It's I rated it a 5 out of 5. It's just a fantastic co-op game where you're trying to beat a big bad monster called the Nameless. I'll leave it at that. Go listen to episode 9 if you want to hear a little bit more. That is my number 3, Aeon's End.
My number 3 is Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. So I haven't played the full Gloomhaven game. The box is big. It requires a lot of hours. It requires commitment. So it's been on my shelf since I bought it. But Jaws of the Lion is extremely accessible. It streamlines the whole thing. It's easy to jump into. It's not nearly as long. And it is so much fun. So I'm a video gamer, so I love to play like RPG games, and this is basically that. It's a dungeon crawl with you're leveling up your guy, and you're getting new powers, and you're getting better cards to play, and fighting against these monsters as you go through the dungeon together as a team, figuring out who's going to kill what, and who's going to walk where, and who's going to get the key, and who's going to get to the door. It's just a fun video game brought to life.
Well, I think it's really cool. So I haven't played it. We have it, but I have played Gloomhaven, only 13 or 14 missions or whatever. But I think it's really cool that Jaws of the Lion teaches you how to play Gloomhaven, basically. The first 5 games, or I think, teach you all the rules or the basic rules and really get to the point where you are ready to play Gloomhaven or, once you finish the Jaws of the Lion campaign. I think that's such a brilliant idea. And bringing Gloomhaven to big box store shelves like Target, right? Mm-hmm. Where the original game or Frosthaven has no business being on the shelf, but Jaws of the Lion is perfect for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't played Gloomhaven or Jaws of the Lion. It's definitely interesting to me, so I want to get it played. So it sounds like a great
If you're going to jump in, this is where to jump in. It's not long. It's easy to learn, and it's fun.
Awesome.
So that is my number 3, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
All right. So my number 3, my wife's favorite games generally have the word pandemic in their titles. And while this isn't her favorite one, it is my favorite non-legacy pandemic game. And it is Pandemic Fall of Rome. This is, I don't know if it's one of their more recent ones. I've always loved Greek and Roman history growing up. I'm not a scholar by any means, but it fascinates me to learn about the Greeks and the Romans. In Fall of Rome, you aren't fighting against contagious diseases. Instead, you are defending against and trying to make peace with 5 barbarian tribes that invade along set migration paths. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about this pandemic game is when they infect, or in this game, in Fall of Rome, invade, they follow a path headed towards Rome. Each tribe has its own path, and they inch closer and closer to Rome, and then you have to move around the map to try and, head them off and keep them from causing riots and people from losing interest in being part of Rome, basically, right? So it's also really cool. And this one, it has battles, which are cool. You recruit legions that you leave behind in cities, or you can move them around with you. And then the battles are dice rolls to remove cubes from the board. Anyway, Fall of Rome, you're trying to make peace with the barbarians. Another cool thing, once you've made peace with barbarians, you can use their cubes. You can recruit their cubes on the board to then go fight as legions for you, which is really cool. I don't know. Vanilla Pandemic at this point is not very exciting to me, especially after playing season 1 and season 2 and part of season 0. And then some of the unique themed, World of Warcraft, Cthulhu, the Rising Tides, which, I lived in the Netherlands for a couple of years. I love that one where you're trying to build up your dikes and prevent the country from flooding. And, the Dutch are amazing aquatic engineers. I don't know if that's the right term, but half their country is reclaimed from water. Like, it's just incredible what they've done. Anyway, Vanilla Pandemic, not that exciting to me at this point. I love Fall of Rome. I feel like I lose this one more than I win it. It's very challenging, more so than Vanilla Pandemic. This is my number 3, Pandemic Fall of Rome.
Yeah, I played this for the first time a few weeks ago, and it was awesome. We lost, but we had a great time playing.
Yeah.
I like how you can kind of strategically leave your legions in spots.
Yep.
So when the barbarians do migrate, if they hit a legion, then it's going to remove that cube from the board,
right,
essentially. So it's kind of cool strategically placing those along the migration path. And I love too how they're making their way to Rome. And
yeah,
eventually,
that's so cool.
If they get there, then
they sack Rome.
They sack Rome, and if Rome gets sacked, you immediately lose.
Yeah.
And just seeing that progression it's cool. So
it's a different twist, right?
It had a completely different feel for me than any other Pandemic game that we had played. And it took us a little bit to get our head around it, because we were so used to Vanilla Pandemic or trying to cure diseases and getting our head around the new concepts took a little bit, but once we got there, it was a lot of fun. That's a great one.
The look of it's quite different too.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
The board is different. It's really
the cards are awesome. The board it's a really good production value for sure. All right. So my number 2, for most of my gaming life, I have steered clear of the Ameritrash style dice chuckers that are very, luck-driven type of games, heavily thematic type of games. I've kind of steered clear of those and have played more of the, less luck-driven Euro type of games until I came across the game called Cthulhu Death May Die. I think, if you follow Kickstarter at all, I'm sure you remember the massive Cthulhu statue that came along with that Kickstarter.
In the birthday suit?
In the birthday, yeah. You turn them around and you got Cthulhu butt staring at you. Yeah, so, just a massive. But the cool thing about that, I kind of wish I had it because it's actually a playable scenario in the game, which would be pretty awesome to have this massive Cthulhu statue. But anyway, Cthulhu Death May Die. There's a lot of things that I love about this game. It's a scenario-based game. The minis are incredible. If you don't get the big Cthulhu statue, it doesn't matter. You still have massive minis of Cthulhu and Hastur and some of the other great ones. What you're trying to do in the game is you're trying to disrupt a ritual from the cultists. And if you are able to successfully disrupt this ritual, then you win the game. It is very difficult to do. It's one of those cooperative games that you're going to probably lose more than you win. But when you win, it's one of those stand-up moments that everybody's cheering around the table. At least that's been my experience with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it always comes down to the last turn.
Yeah.
Or very close to the last turn, right?
Yeah, it does.
If you're winning. I mean, you might get obliterated way before that in a game,
right? In
a losing game, but
you can, because one of the ways you lose, I think, is if one of the characters dies before you before
you disrupt the ritual or before whatever great one you're playing shows up on the board.
Yep. Then you immediately die. Yeah. And you're out of the game, which can happen pretty quick.
Yeah, it can.
But if you happen to make it past that, then there's some pretty cool moments that can be had. Like throughout the game, you're going, progressively more insane your character is. But the cool thing is, as you get more insane, you get more powerful. You get to roll more dice, which is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. I mentioned the minis and how they're so big. The tiles in the game, some of them are so small. So if you get like Cthulhu and some of his minions and some of the characters in the same little,
The cultists.
and the cultists in the same little square, it's like overflowing. It's like it's almost comical at that point, right?
Yeah.
But it's awesome at the same time.
So that brings up, and it reminded me of an amazing moment that we had playing this game. Spoiler: this is my number 2 as well. Cthulhu Death May Die. Sorry, Ben. I'm just gonna connect them a little, and
That is okay.
We'll come back to your
Yes.
number 2.
Please.
We had this amazing moment. We're playing, Logan, my wife, and my wife's parents. Right, my wife's parents are family gamers, and this was a few years ago, I think. We're playing. I don't remember which episode it was, but it was coming down to crunch time. You have to defeat the Great One in multiple different stages. So you generally beat them once, you take off 12 health, I think, and then they teleport somewhere else, and then you have to go get them and then beat them again, and they teleport again, and you have to go get them again, right? So we had beat him the second time, and he teleported to the space on the map where in between us, it was like a T in the map, right? From where we were. And there were just hordes of monsters and cultists, and there was no way that we could get to him. And he was about to win based on the progression of the game. He was very close to winning. There was no way that we could get to him without just getting slaughtered by all the other monsters, right? The first battle that we would fight in, and the cultists. And Logan, and none of us saw this. And, he was 10 or 11 at the time, and just like, he just started, and it's a cooperative game, so a lot of times you talk about your actions. He just grabbed his player piece and he moved it to the top of the T, and then he went the other way. And when you pass through a space with enemies in this game, they follow you.
Right. Yep.
So he had this sacrificial moment where he leads 15, 16 guys on like in this little tiny space, right?
Yeah.
They all follow him. They just slaughter him. But then the path was cleared for us to go in and beat I think we were playing Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And it was just like incredible. It was so awesome. It was we've talked about double snap moments, which is great. When the light bulb just flashes above your head with a great idea when you're playing a game, because Tyson does the double snap when he gets excited. It was a total double snap moment. Logan leading the hordes of minions and enemies away from us so that there was a cleared path. Total sacrificial moment. Awesome. And we still barely won it.
Right.
But it came down to the last roll. Just incredible. Such a fun experience.
What a noble son you've raised.
Well, I can't take credit for that. I mean, that's...
yeah, I have met Shelley. It was probably...
Yeah, right?
Yeah, probably.
Whatever, Ben. See if you're invited back.
This may be the last episode for Ben.
Well, it's been lovely to be here.
But I love those moments in the game, too. It's so, like, cinematic in my mind.
Yes.
Right? It's like you can almost see it happening in a movie type of thing.
Yep.
And that's what this game creates. And
Yeah.
it's just, that's cool. I love it. It's just dripping with theme.
I think another game that does that is Nemesis. Creates these epic cinematic moments. I had it on my list. There's a trader type mechanic in there. You're not fully cooperative, so I left it off my list. Yeah. But
that is another one.
Cthulhu Death May Die is awesome. So that was my number 2 as well.
So my number 2, I could pull a Kevin here and pick a whole category of games that are all sort of the same.
Whoa!
Hey! Whoa!
But I'll specify.
Shots fired.
we need Tyson back. I like making fun of him better.
Oh, he's a little nicer, eh? My number 2 I'll say is Spirit Island. First of all, I really like like you, Tyler, I think you've been saying that you like variable player powers and that kind of thing. And I really like that too. And this game has, I mean, I can't even tell you how many different spirits there are to explore with. Each card has 2 sides and, 12 to 15 or so spirits that you can learn. They all do different things. They all work in different ways. The principle of the game is that there's an island with indigenous people, and settlers are invading the island and killing off the indigenous people. But we, the spirits, are trying to defeat the settlers and keep them away so the land stays with the natives.
This is the anti-colonialism
Correct.
game.
Yes, and we're massive earth spirits. So when I was saying at the beginning that I could put it in a whole category, the category is brutal co-ops.
Yes.
So this is brutal. Robinson Crusoe is brutal. Mansions of Madness is brutal. They're all kind of the same thing in terms of that, where the enemy gets to take a turn, and sometimes their turns are coming too frequently, and you can't keep up, and you get overwhelmed. But in Spirit Island, I feel like I have a little bit better grasp of how to be able to get control of that with the other players that are with you and keep control and save that island. Another feature that I really like about it is that it scales extremely well based on player count. So if you're just playing a 2-player game, you only use 2 panels for the board. If it's 3 players, you use 3 panels.
Island.
Yeah, so it's a different size with different turn order and things based on the player count, which makes it work really well no matter how many people you're playing with. So that is my number 2, Spirit Island.
All right, and my number 1 has already been referenced.
Ho.
And it is Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Nice choice.
This may be on somebody else's list. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll find out.
I don't know. So this game just completely blew my mind when it came out. The fact that you were going to destroy a game as you're playing it, potentially ripping up cards, it hurt my soul. I'm not going to lie, but I thought, man, this is pretty cool. And a game that had boxes that you're going to open that you don't know what's in those boxes, but something happens in the game that directs you to open those things, and you find out what it is, and it's a surprise. It was just so cool and so exciting. So I got this for Christmas one year. We recruited some neighbor friends and played it for the first time on New Year's Eve, and played through the whole campaign or the whole legacy game with our neighbor friends. And it was, to this day, the best gaming experience I've ever had. It was just so much fun. There's so much to like about it. I can't really talk about specifics because if somebody hasn't played it, you don't want to spoil it. But you're discovering new things. You're playing through it. It kind of eases you into the game. It's very much vanilla Pandemic when you start. Yep. It adds more complexity the further you play through the game. You're playing through an entire year in game. So you start in January and in December. And like I said, the things that you discover, the way the story unfolds.
The rules are changing.
You're putting stickers in the rule book.
On cards and
you're naming the diseases, and just the fact of naming the diseases was hilarious for us. It was just fun. By far, like I said, my best gaming experience and the best co-op game that I have played so far.
I'm right there with you, Kevin. It is also my number 1. I can still just remember the summer that we played this. It was me and a few of my friends. We didn't know we were getting ourselves into. It was my first legacy experience too. And we put it to the table and we're like, okay, yeah, we know Pandemic. Sure. And then open a box. We're like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. Now we're going to do this. Now we're going to do that. And we played that whole campaign in a matter of maybe a week. We got together every night and played a scenario or two to get through it. And it was so much fun, just hooting and hollering and shouting. And, it was summertime, sun was out in the evenings when we were playing, a nice breeze and that kind of thing. It was just such a great memory. At the end of it, we all signed the board, and I still have the board itself.
It's
all of
really,
our
I mean, this
signatures.
is one of those games that you can frame on the wall to show.
We've talked about doing that.
yeah. I don't know. So cool.
I still have it all these years later, the signed board with all of our changes that we make. And
Yeah.
Well,
it was
I do too.
amazing.
It's still on my game shelf, taking up valuable real estate.
Yeah.
and it's I
can
can't
never
play
use it again.
I can never play it again.
Yeah.
But it was such a good experience. I don't want to get rid of it.
I think I bought a second copy of season 1 just so I could play it again.
Awesome.
That's
At some
cool.
point.
Yep. So that's
cool.
my number 1.
Cool. Well, you guys, I mean, you're close, but you're both wrong.
Uh-oh.
My number 1 is Pandemic Legacy Season 2. And as amazing as Pandemic Season 1 was and the moments that it created, I really enjoyed Season 2. I loved the story more. I loved that the world is kind of in ruins after Season 1. And you start out and you only can see a very small portion of the map on the board. And I love Season 2 because you are exploring to see what the world looks like now and the people and experiences that you come across throughout the game. It's just really cool. Lots of surprises. Again, similar things. I just happen to enjoy the story in Season 2 more. You can't go wrong with either one of them. We're a few months into Season 0. I'll get back to my review of that when we finish it and how it compares. But these are just awesome games all around. So Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is my number 1 cooperative game. That wraps up our top 5 cooperative games. And now we're going to jump into things that we are excited about. Ben, would you like to go first?
Yeah. I just got a game in the mail just last week that I am very excited to try. It is called Caper Europe. Have you guys heard of this?
Never heard of it.
No.
So I basically know nothing about it. Well, here's what I know. It has really pretty artwork.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, shocker.
Yeah. And it's a 2-player game specifically. I believe what you're doing is you're trying to pull off a heist against the other person. I don't believe it's cooperative. And you're organizing your crime and going in to try to steal whatever thing you're going to steal. I don't know much more than that, but it looks really pretty. I've heard really good things about it just generally. Just came in the mail last week, so I'm going to learn that this weekend and see if I can get it to the table.
Awesome.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know,
I love capers.
Monster Crunch has really pretty art. Do you want to buy that from me?
I don't.
Ah,
I don't. But
If you get a good deal,
I
you
do-
should buy it.
I do recall winning Monster Crunch when we played, so I seem to be very good at those few decision games.
A couple of things that I'm excited about. These two things don't relate to board games, but I am excited. You know, we're coming up on the end of April. May is going to be a good month. Hockey playoffs, as I've mentioned before, but also Stranger Things Season 4
Nice.
is finally coming out.
Yep.
We're going to have to renew our Netflix account that we haven't had for a couple of years, binge watch Season 1 through 3 a couple of weeks before. So we're ready for Season 4. I think it comes out at the end of May. And also at the end of May, Obi-Wan Kenobi, which Ewan McGregor,
Looks awesome.
hopefully...
Do
It's
it right, Disney.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Is that a Star Wars?
Whatever. I'm excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi and Stranger Things Season 4. It's been long enough of a wait. It's time to get some Stranger Things back on, which
Agreed.
they've also announced that they're doing one more season, which will be the final season. And then I'm sure they'll jump into some spin-off material. But for this, you know, the group of kids and Hopper and Joyce, Season 5, whenever that comes out, will be the last season.
Yeah, I love Stranger Things. It's
So awesome.
I'm super excited for that as well. One thing I'm excited about, and I'm going to tie this into board games. My top game to get off my shelf of shame is Star Trek Ascendancy. I've had it there. I mean, we talked about this before in the Shelf of Shame episode. I got it right when the pandemic started.
Worst timing ever.
Worst timing ever, because we couldn't get together to play. No excuse now because we've been playing games for a while, but it still sits on my shelf of shame. We recently got caught up on the Picard episodes. We've been watching through that and have just really enjoyed watching those. Get together with our neighbors, and it's just been awesome. Are you a Star Trek fan, Ben, at all?
I've seen the movies with Chris Pine.
I love those movies. They're awesome.
But that's it.
That's it. And then Tyler, I know you like Star Trek.
I like
right?
Star Trek. Yeah. My dad liked it growing up, so we watched it, and Next Generation, and I've seen all the movies. So
Yep. And this obviously ties back to Next Generation a lot because it's Picard.
yeah.
It's cool. We're really liking it. And then Strange New Worlds is coming out. That's another Star Trek show. It's based on Captain Pike of the Enterprise before Kirk. It's got Spock. It's got a lot of the same characters that the original had. Super excited for that. I'm a little bit behind on Star Trek Discovery. Need to catch up on that before Strange New Worlds, but that's Star Trek.
Excellent.
Excited for it.
Nice. I'm excited about another Kickstarter that I received recently.
Oh,
Perseverance, season 1 and 2.
that's right.
From Mind Clash. I spent several hours organizing it, as you do with any ultimate
Mind
Mind
Clash
game, right? I ran out of some sleeves that I had to order, but as soon as I get those in, I'm going to learn it, and I'm excited to get that to the table, especially after we reviewed Anachrony a few episodes ago, or a couple episodes ago. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that you backed it.
You are.
I did
Why
not
is
have to
that?
back it. Well, because we can play it to see if it's good. I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
Before episode 3 and 4 is
And then-
Kickstarter, or
Episode 3 and 4 it's gonna hit Kickstarter at some point. I'm sure you'll be able to buy 1 and 2. So if it is awesome, then I can get in on the next Kickstarter and not miss out on it. So,
which we've been trying to do better about not buying duplicate games. But I feel like there's a huge exception with anything Mind Clash.
Yep.
There are 3 or 4 of us that go in on each Mind Clash game. Their
And
games are just awesome.
I don't feel bad about it because I want to see it on my shelf.
Yeah,
right.
They're beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
I want to be invited to play the new one.
Oh, absolutely. You're never not invited, Ben.
Excellent.
I mean,
Yeah,
Kevin's ascendancy is limited to 3 players, I think. So it might be
Tyson's already.
who likes Star Trek the most. Top 3.
You better start watching.
So it's different than a Star Wars?
Oh, no,
Is Yoda in it?
when is he gonna use a lightsaber?
You're invited for Ascendancy.
Okay,
you can
okay,
come.
okay.
You can
And
come.
watch. I want one of those spots.
That's going to be a boring
You can
game night for Ben. That's a long game.
Hey, I've done it before. I do it again.
Yeah. We had a game day. Oh, really quick.
I was so cozy that day, though.
We had a game day. I think it was on President's Day.
Yeah.
And we started out playing Anachrony, and we had 4 players. Ben wasn't really interested in playing Anachrony, and we were playing extra content, expansions. The game went on quite a while.
They gave me a time to arrive after it was supposed to be done.
Yeah, and it was still. Ben got several hours of napping and Switch time on on my couch, and
I was very relaxed. I quite enjoyed it.
but then we had some great plays of other games after that.
Absolutely.
I felt bad about that,
You shouldn't have.
but yeah,
It was great.
you always feel bad as a host when something doesn't go.
When someone gets to rest and relax.
No, when things don't go how you planned, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you get stuck in an unstable unicorns game.
Oh, with the
Terrible.
6-year-olds. Heavens.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad. I left early that night.
Yeah.
I think I win.
I wanted to leave with you.
Hey, come hang out at my house for a while and then go home.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up this episode, episode 10. We went over our top 5 favorite cooperative games. If we missed something that you think should have been on the list, let us know. We are available to follow on Instagram. We have a BGG blog and a BGG guild, 3947. If you like listening to us, if you like our episodes, our podcast, give us a subscribe. If you have the time, write a nice comment so that we can build up more listeners and more momentum. We love doing this. We appreciate you listening to the episode. Challenge us on BGA. Come join our BGA group, The Longest Turn.
If you want an easy win, challenge Tyler.
What are we playing?
Anything?
Wow. I mean, I'm not Tyson playing Railroad Inc. where
that's
lost his
true.
first 25
That's true.
games.
Maybe it's Tyson. Maybe I got names.
25 games.
Thank you for listening. This is The Longest Turn, episode 10. Ben, it's been great to have you for both this episode and episode 9.
Thank you.
We
It's
look
been
forward to having you back, and glad that you could fill in for Tyson, who will be back in episode 11, which we're also excited about.
Thanks for having
me. Thanks for listening. Tot ziens.
Good night.
Sloth out.
Oh, yeah. I don't get that one, but...
Sloth out. We're the little sloths.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It should not maybe...
I have the river folk and the lizards. I'm not sure if the other ones are on there yet.
Will you say that again? Because I made my chair squeak.
Yes.
Squeaky Tyler.
I was squeaking mine earlier.
Get all your squeaks out.
Talking about AJ.
AJ. Where does it show the dates? Okay. This game.
Wow.
Sorry. Struggling. Okay, this game.
Wiggling.
It came out in 2012, and it is called Marvel Legend.
But you're a middle-aged man, right?
Yeah.
And you
Thanks
love
for pointing
Monster
that
Crunch.
out. I do. I'm creating moments with my children now.
Whatever. Peoples of history, right? Whatever, Kevin.
Other humans.
Other
Old humans.
inhabitants of the earth centuries ago.
Well put, Tyler.
Shut up. Yep. So that's my number 2, Pandemic Fall of Rome.
That's your number 3, Pandemic Fall of Rome.
Yep. That's my number 3. Whatever, Kevin.